Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. We're going to be covering protests tonight. A lot's going on, and of course, we all know what's happening out there. But hi, Rodney. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Nana. Hi, Karen. Hi, Richard. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Pam. Hi, Karen. Hopefully, we get some more people in here. Hit that like button, please, if you can. We definitely appreciate it. We definitely need that. More, of course, thumbs up and reactions we have and shares we have, the better. So definitely hit that share button, share in your story, and share publicly. Helps us both ways. But of course, we're having protests, like I said, out there tonight. And it's sad, the story, of course, what's happened, and we all know it's not good. Hi, Tammy. But God bless you all for being here. We're going to go cut over to New York and see what's happening there live right now as we get ready to see what's happening out there. Of course, we'll see. This is actually where the protest is happening tonight, is out in Times Square, New York area. You can't really hear them right now, but I'm going to cut in real quick so you can see what's actually going on.
Brutality comes to an end once and for all.
Demand justice for all victims of police brutality. Whether we know their names or not.
That they get in support of the orientation that they have towards the people.
Of harming other people. One of the police officers that helped kill. There are people that want to bring in the race of these officers. I want to drop some education on y'all. Can I do that? Can we talk?
Teach.
Once a person puts on that police uniform, they are blue. And they identify.
How you doing tonight, Karen or Corinne?
These 5 men thought that because they were police officers, they would get away with murdering a man that was on his way home.
Can we get those pictures sent to us?
It's absolutely devastating. I don't know what's happened.
What's his name? Say his name. Say his name. Say his name.
Oh, Corinne, that's terrible. Yes, this is live. These are all live feeds, Lauren, as we go through the night. Hi, Gigi. Welcome back.
We're here to say that we are all
Hi, Alina. Yeah, we'll get into that, of course, in other news later. But right now, we're covering protests tonight.
Officer or racist vigilante. Every 28 hours. That means that there is a Tyree that died last night. That means there's a Tyree that will be killed tonight. We are done with institutionalized racist space.
And think about where we are now when you see that these officers have been fired and indicted and this, that, and the third, what it had to take to even get to this level of recognition in mainstream America. They had to burn down the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis. 20 million people had to, or however many it was, the New York Times is here, they can tell me they did the study. 20 million people coming out.
Yeah, Lauren, we know.
Ferguson, Baltimore, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, all the places we've seen go up over and over again. The millions on the street. 20,000 people arrested in just, I believe, 6 weeks in the summer of 2020. It took all of that just to get a basic recognition of the...
Those people were arrested for violent crimes in 2020. Let's repeat that again. Riots, we do not condone. Protests are another thing. If this becomes a riot, it'll be over. We'll be calling it what it is.
We're going to keep on.
All the officers were black in this case, Pam.
Look to the power that millions of people came out in 2020.
Hi, Tia. How you doing tonight?
Organized ways, demanding defund the police, demanding that resources be allocated in new ways, and that's what we're going to keep on fighting for. And we are really, really determined to not let Tyree Nichols' name go in vain and not any other black person's name.
Up against the system, and we fired up against police brutality and police.
I mean, it's horrible, but also more of the same, like surprising and not surprising in some ways. And I think it's particularly discouraging that, you know, since the largest protest movement in the United States in 2020, very little progress has been made in some ways, which I think is what this case made a lot of people think about.
We're talking about people who are tasering people to death. What kind of power? People power. Who got the power? We got the. We don't get it. Shut it down. If Tyree don't get it.
We just started, Tia. Just started.
No peace. No justice. No peace. Jail these killers. Police. No justice. No peace. No justice. Police. No justice. Police. And when do we want it? Now. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down.
We have views all over New York City right now, so if anything happens or police escalate, or if something happens somewhere else, there's live cameras everywhere.
There's no way in. Subway 456, make left on the corner. 42nd and Lex.
They're blocking off entrances.
That's a suggestion for the public safety. Where BK at? Right there you go.
Escalation was uncalled for.
Now I was just telling them they should put a safety bar right here. You don't think that? Yeah. The safety to walk right here, because these cars come by. Now if I walk, right?
We are here for Tyree, and we are going to stay in the streets for as long as it takes. For Tyree to see justice, for his family to see justice, but for all the victims of this racist police brutality. Because this year, or just last year, we saw the highest rates of police killing in this country. We're not going to tolerate it. In 2020, we took the streets, and we stayed in the streets. We led an uprising. Millions of people in this country led an uprising. And we are going to do what it takes to not only earn justice, win justice for all the victims of police brutality, but to make sure that this brutality comes to an end once and for all.
Demand justice for all victims of.
Yeah, and they're power hungry, Chuck. Newer and power hungry officers.
That they get in part of the orientation that they have towards the people.
Of harming other people. One of the police officers that helped kill. There are people that want to bring in the race of these officers. I want to drop some education on y'all. Can I do that? Can we talk?
Teach.
Once a person puts on that police uniform, they are blue. And they identify as
Multiple explosions in Iran as we're following right now. Trying to find out exactly what's happening in Iran as we speak, but we know multiple explosions are happening. Crazy out there as we're watching the protests and everything else happening. One thing after another. One thing after another, fights starting everywhere else. You know, of course, we know a drone attacked a military plant in Iran. That's all we know so far. Of course, the drone attacked part of a plant in Iran and central Isfahan, Tehran. An explosion that occurred on one of the military centers affected by the Ministry of Defense, affiliated with the Ministry of Defense, deputy head of security. Right now, there's some explosion, some damage from the explosion, but fortunately no casualties. So it was a small drone. I mean, there's been several attacks in the last couple of weeks with these small drones. So one thing after another going on in the world. I mean, we turn around and literally something else is happening somewhere. It's crazy. We see protests going on. We see, of course, what's happening in Ukraine. The fast track is underway for missiles and planes to be given to Ukraine now. We're in a budget crisis, and our money's going to go to Ukraine. As we're watching these protests, of course, I got to cover this because the fast track for these planes and missiles to go to Iran is ridiculous. Why are we fast tracking talks about equipping more equipment like long range missiles now and military aircraft? Now we're sending proactive weapons instead of defensive. We're sending offensive weapons to Ukraine. This is something we said we would not do. Zelensky went back and said he wanted 320 tanks, at least. One thing after another, we're watching this, of course, unfold. Russia's going to turn on the world. Literally, at this point. Keep going back and forth with this, and we're sending more and more. I mean, is helping the Ukraine reducing the preparedness and security of the U.S.? That's a good question, because what happens if it is? I mean, the question's mounting. Can the U.S. continue to supply Ukraine weapons and stockpiles without hindering its own security? More than $27 billion worth of weapons have been sent to Ukraine so far. Just weapons. $27 billion. And Washington shows no sign of slowing down shipments of munitions and other lethal aids overseas. But experts are questioning what it might mean for the U.S. and the U.S. military's readiness should another conflict arise with China in the near future. And what if we have to join the war in Ukraine? Like we already said, we would probably go in and liberate Crimea again, which is ridiculous. It's one thing after another. Well, the fair point, the estimate the U.S. military would run out of critical long-range and precision-guided munitions within a week should China start a fight in Taiwan Strait. A week. We have a week worth of long-range weapons. Critical long-range weapons and precision-guided munitions. A week worth if we had to go to war with China right now. China knows this. China just said, fix your own debt issue. We're not getting involved. I mean, this is a serious deficiency in the U.S. defense industries and what's happening. Given time, the lead time for initial production, it would likely be too late for the defense industry to ramp up production if a war were to occur without major changes. This is ridiculous. How long can the U.S. continue to pull from its own stockpile? How fast defense firms can refill them has been a topic of discussion since shortly after the war began, but nobody's been doing it. We've been sending everything from helmets to high-tech systems, even our new night vision goggles. We haven't even got to use yet. They're using them there. Patriot air defense batteries, Bradley fighting vehicles, various types of missiles, now Abrams tanks. I mean, military aid with the others, Western allies, has been credited with helping Ukraine's troops beat back Russia forces in the largest land war in Europe since World War II. This is becoming ridiculous, though. The U.S. withdrawal in Afghanistan, we left billions of dollars of equipment there. We didn't, of course, move it to Ukraine. We just surrendered it. We didn't keep it in any kind of fashion. I mean, the hampering of weapon supply chains are production delays at this point, and worker shortages. Of course, these defense firms are claiming they can't produce any more goods at any higher rate. Defense manufacturers have for decades been working under the war in Afghanistan, Iraq, as well as other counterterrorism operations, which years went on and became less demanding for major warfighting weapons and munitions. And we're seeing that as an issue now. Pentagon, of course, however, is remaining steadfast. It's insisting that there's no cause for concern. No cause for concern, you say? That's pretty crazy out there. Of course, people will all be affected, but they're not concerned. Why should they be? They're not the ones being affected. I mean, we're already enabling this war. Now we're saying we're going to go in Crimea. If we do that, forget it. It's over. Putin would much rather lose his life than lose control. Oh, media blackout. Yeah. What's happening? They're trying to limit, of course, this view of what's going on and these protests and everything else that's happening in the world. Senate Republicans just put Biden on notice over the debt ceiling. And of course, the recession is just getting worse. Inflation's getting worse. The hope for a soft landing is pretty much over with at this point. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And now we're trying to fight with China. And this is going to be bad because this blocking of chips going to China is going to make China use military force to take Taiwan. Now that Japan and the Netherlands have agreed to limit exports of chip making equipment to China, they can't produce their own. Oh, it's a terrible situation. Seeing what's happening out there. People are angry. And they have every right to be at this point. It is sad to see what's happening, and it's sad to see what's happening here in the United States. People are standing up and realizing what's happening is not okay. I mean, you see the Pelosi video, the savage hammer swing. Yeah. I have a question. Why did Paul Pelosi hand him the hammer in the first place when the police were at the door? Too many questions, not enough answers happening from the United States government, and that's the problem we're having. Living on, of course, our borrowed time. Right now, the United States is so far in debt, we can't even afford to pay our interest payments on the debt without raising the debt ceiling. This is a serious issue. You go back to the year 2000, there was only $5 trillion in debt. Now we're at $35 trillion. Explain how that happens. $5 trillion in the whole entire history of our government to the year 2000. And then all of a sudden, it goes to ridiculous amounts of $35 trillion. I mean, that's $30 trillion. Where'd it go? Who spent it and who used it? Obviously, it wasn't used to improve American roadways or housing for homeless or no social benefit system. We give money away to other countries like it's water, yet we keep none for our civilians, our own citizens. It's sad. I mean, drawdowns from the Strategic Oil Reserve is getting ridiculous. The House finally passed a bill limiting the drawdowns, but is it too late? If we go to war right now, we are done. Absolutely and completely. Enough missiles and munitions for a week. Enough fuel maybe for a week. I mean, This is crazy. And now we're talking about sending airplanes and other long-range missiles to Ukraine. You got to be kidding me. It shouldn't even be a question, in my mind. Killing their own citizens is not okay. And they've been doing that. Ukraine has been attacking their own citizens that are supposedly, well, they believe in Russia still because that's obviously what they did. And of course, we got this protest going on after, of course, Tyrese Nicholas, the 29-year-old black man who died after police escalated a traffic stop into brutal beating. Watching the video clips, of course, we did last night, we're not going to do that again. But more than an hour of total footage between 4 clips between 7 p.m. or at around 7 p.m. Eastern Friday. 3 of the clips taken from body cameras, including sound. One silence clip comes from a light pole camera. That's, of course, the camera that you guys seen. City released the videos, and it's ridiculous what we've seen. No one thought the videos, though one of the videos shows moments preceding the beating. The videos do not show Nicholas erratic driving. Of course, the reason police gave for pulling him over in the first place. Erratic driving, and immediately yanking him out of his vehicle. We've seen that on video. I mean, the 5 police officers, all whom were black, and all whom have been fired, are charged with second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. Found guilty, each one is going to face up to 6 years in prison for the murder charges alone. This is ridiculous, though. Police are out of control. Our government's out of control everywhere we look. Well, war automatically closes the debt issue, period. We go to wartime financing, which changes everything. Benefits get cut immediately. Factories go into War Production Act, which, of course, employees get paid a minimum of minimum wage and are forced to work overtime without overtime pay. Of course, if you're old enough, you would remember this. I am not, but I know people that are. Being forced to work in a factory or assembly line for 12 to 18 hours a day, 6 days a week, getting minimum wage. That's what happens. And then the government all of a sudden has all this extra they use, of course, and throw away to other places. Of course, Biden's student debt relief program isn't helping the budget either. It's crazy what's happening. Absolutely crazy. Watching, of course, these protests going on in New York City is just sad. We have Denver protesting as well, and I'm going to cut over to that in just a second. But it is a sad time. It'll be jobs for everybody. You'll be forced to work for minimum wage. Children have to work too. Yep. This is in Denver right now, as they started protesting now in Denver. Justice is trying to be served right now. I understand these people may not be happy with what's happening. These officers definitely deserve what they're going to get. I mean, they condemn themselves in the video alone. People on disability, I hate to say this, but disability gets cut. That's why you had families living with families. Multiple generation homes. Happens for a reason. I mean, I guarantee we'll be at war within the next 2 years with China. And at this rate, if we enter a war in Ukraine or enter a war in the Middle East again, which isn't looking good, but of course, all those will add up as people, of course, are following what's happening around the world. You can't look away and say it's not happening. Everybody knows it is. I guess we have to be glad we have today. We have each other, of course. These protests, of course, get repetitive. I understand. But at least no damage is being done yet. And I can say yet, as that is the key phrase. I'm worried about my own children's future at this point. I truly am. I have 2 young children, if you guys don't know, 10 and 13. Not young. One's a teenager and one's 10. But it's hard to see what they're going to grow up at this point. We have AI taking over the job market in a huge way. We have incidents like this happening. This is Denver. This is in Denver right now. I'm not getting anything out of Memphis yet. Of course, I am watching. As soon as anything comes live from Denver, you will see it. Or Memphis, you will see it. Problem is, of course, they're trying not to allow people to go live in a lot of areas. So.
I'm surprised they're not on the roof. I'm surprised they're not on the roof. I don't know. I'm surprised they're not on the roof. They're all in the tank. They're hiding.
Watching all this footage as it comes in, though. Hi, Billy. How you doing tonight? Thank you for joining, of course. Here, when we're raising money, it's only for families in need. So if you feel like donating, please do. All that money goes to families in need. We do Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas here. Is what we actually do, is help as many families as we can. So we definitely appreciate any donations. Cover news around the world and, of course, protests going on right now. Linda, because they want to cross the red line. Germany's having the same issue as us right now with national debt. They had a balanced budget for a long time. Now they no longer do. So, of course, entering a war, easiest way to lock your citizens into something. Please hit that share button and the thumbs up, though. It definitely helps the stream. The more likes we have, the better. Of course, comment. Do you agree with this protest or not? I want to see some yeses and nos in the comment section. I'm watching what's happening. Protest. Do you think protests and agree with this protest are okay as long as it does not become violent? That's the big thing. As long as it does not become violent. Make sure that's a stipulation, because protests are not violent and riots are not peaceful. Yeah, a protest is peaceful. A riot's not peaceful. Protest is not violent. So as long as they remain peaceful, it will be a protest coverage. Then it will become a riot coverage. If something else were to happen. Riots are not fine, Nana. You're drunk. Yeah. Well, luckily my kids are ingrained constitutionalist. I'm not going to say Democratic or Republic. They are constitutionalists just like me. They're definitely trying to split us up. It's a divide thing right now. Divide and conquer. Divide the left and the right as far as you can, and all of a sudden you got two warring parties in America that aren't fighting against you, but fighting against each other. See that more and more every night, every day. So none of this becomes violent.
No good cops in a racist system. 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 Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Football pig. Get the fuck out of here. Football.
Oh, Pam. No, New York City is protesting out there as well. There's New York City, Times Square right now. They are protesting out there. They're not marching right now, though, so we're not covering that. We're watching what's actually happening in Denver at the moment. We're getting no feeds at all out of Memphis yet. And I'm watching for feeds to come out of Memphis. Of course, Facebook is not showing any. If you search protests on Facebook, you will not see a single live video feed. Even though there are live video feeds out on Facebook right now. Just the way they're working. Maxwell Mitchell, I think, even got banned today. She did. So YouTube is YouTube. There's a couple of protest streams going on. Most of them, of course, will be news stations besides like us. There's only a couple protest streams out there right now. It's just sad. Absolutely sad what's happening out there. Yeah, I've heard that, but I have not seen any footage from what happened last night in Seattle. Fortunately.
The only good pig is a dead pig.
Everybody fucking hates you.
Everybody hates you.
Suck.
Everybody hates you.
Well, it's sad right now. They're blaming. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of good officers have quit over the last year and a half, 2 years, 3 years actually now, because of what's happened. Now we're getting a lot of new officers that are very power hungry. Let's put it that way. And they are affecting, of course, what's happening out there. We're seeing more incidents like this because of that. May not be right, may not be good, but it is happening. Click the Linktree link. That's how you donate to help support people on the page, to help support people in need.
Hey, can we make a hole for all these people so they can go right? Oh, never mind, yeah. Well, there's only, what, 4 cars I can let them through? Hey, these 4 kind of got trapped. Can we, like, make a hole for them to get through?
That's what I said. I got told no.
Make a little inconvenience. We won't be here long.
Extremely sad what's happening.
Little inconvenience.
I have a feeling that this is going to get worse as the days go on. I'm positive. I mean, this is worse than George Floyd case by far, because this guy was literally just driving. We can give him an Oscar for anything else. So. Apparently, there has been lit fireworks thrown in an LAPD car. A protest in LA. I'm trying to get a live feed of that up, but don't know if I'll be able to. I know they're being prosecuted, but the thing is, being prosecuted and actually being sentenced are 2 different things. But once they're found guilty, I think this will calm down a lot. This is Denver in Colorado right now. Denver, Colorado is where they're marching right now. It is literally so hard to get feeds because people are being banned left and right if it shows any kind of violence now. Even last night when we showed what was happening live, we're having issues.
Elijah McClain. George Floyd. Brian Bryant. Breonna Taylor. Tyree Nichols. Paul Castaway.
Those protests in New York City are still in Times Square at this point. Keeping an eye on that as well. George Floyd case is a big controversy, and let's be honest with it, it is a controversy because the drugs that were in his system could have caused his death. He would have died later that day, period. So you are correct about that. But it's about the police action and what the police did, and I don't believe they got charged properly. But they did get charged for the prosecution and what the people wanted. And let's be honest. Antifa is domestic terrorism. Crazy everything that's happening out here with the protests going on. I mean, protests are taking a lot of light away from what's actually happening around the world, but
Back up, we want freedom, freedom. Back up, we want freedom, freedom. All these racist assholes, we don't need freedom. All these racist assholes, we don't need freedom. Back up, we want freedom, freedom. Racist police, freedom, freedom.
Jeff, I agree with you there. He was not innocent. This is a total different case, and that's why I feel it's going to get a lot more attention in the end. Let's be honest. Well, they bring race into everything, Linda. I can't say everything is racist one way or another. There's no live feeds coming through right now. Literally, if you try to find live feeds, they are very hard to find. What's actually happening out there? Fortunately. It's like every time I turn around, there's more stuff, of course, happening. Tobin, how you doing tonight? Hi, Phil. I didn't say hi to you. I'm sorry about that. Definitely appreciate you guys being here. Crazy times going on in the world. Crazy times. They're bringing the racist thing in just to bring race up. This was a true just police brutality case. Nothing to do with race. Well, that's the problem is the good cops quit. Now we do have a lot of cops out there acting like stormtroopers. You have brand new officers out there and that are on power trips. And this is what happens, Richard. And it's ridiculous that anything like this would even happen. But it is. Phil, I hope it doesn't get to that point. That's what I'm afraid of. Oh, there's a couple hundred people there in Denver. This is the very front of the protest. Right back. Please hit that share button and the like button. It definitely helps our stream. And all donations we receive here go to families in need around the country. We do Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Sending stuff out as well. God bless you all. I'll be right back.
Be careful. Just be careful.
Get the fuck off our ass! Get the fuck out the street for what? Every day, black and brown lives, their lives. When they leave their home, or not even that, they cannot stay in their home and feel safe and protected. They cannot walk outside and feel safe and protected. So, I got caught. Fuck you! Fuck you, kid! Fuck you! No justice, no peace. We got time today. We got time today. Put your hold. We got time today. Fuck y'all. We got time today. We got time today. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you, pig! You murdering fucking pig! Fuck you! You fascist fucking pigs! You murderers! Abolish!
My battery is dying. So. Keep you out as long as I can. We shut shit down. 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 We shut shit down.
Those flags are actually two different Black Lives Matter organizations. I don't know what their point is right now, honestly. Look, that feed is freezing temporarily, so we'll go over to New York and look at what's happening in Times Square. Still a lot of people out there protesting. A lot happening out there in New York still. No real marches though. Marches going on here. Fortunately, we do have a speaker out here.
Just last year, we saw the highest rates of police killing in this country. We're not going to tolerate it. In 2020, we took the streets and we stayed in the streets. We led an uprising. Millions of people in this country led an uprising. And we are going to do what it takes to not only earn justice, win justice for all the victims of police brutality, but to make sure that this brutality comes to an end once and for all.
Demand justice for all victims of police brutality, whether we know their names or not.
That they get in support of the orientation that they have towards the people.
Of harming other people. One of the police officers that helped kill. There are people that want to bring in the race of these officers. I want to drop some education on y'all. Can I do that? Can we talk? Teach. Once a person puts on that police uniform, they are blue. And they identify as blue. These 5 men thought that because they were police officers, they would get away with murdering a man that was on his way home.
Can we get those pictures sent to us?
Sad times watching this. Sad times.
What's his name? Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. We're here to say that New York is Memphis. Am I right? We're here to say that we are all Tyre. Am I right? Every 28 hours in this country, a black or brown person is killed by a police officer or a racist vigilante. Every 28 hours. That means that there is a Tyre that died last night. That means there's a Tyre that will be killed tonight.
It's just crazy.
Institutionalized racist.
Crazy going on out there.
And think about where we are now when you see that these officers have been fired and indicted and this, that, and the third, what it had to take to even get to this level of recognition in mainstream America. They had to burn down the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis. 20 million people had to, or however many it was, the New York Times is here, they can tell me they did the study. 20 million people coming out in the year 2020. Ferguson, Baltimore, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, all the places we've seen go up over and over again. The millions on the street. 20,000 people arrested in just, I believe, 6 weeks in the summer of 2020.
They deserved it.
Just to get a basic recognition.
The summer of 2020 was a disaster. The people that got arrested deserved it in 2020.
And that is not the police officers. And I'm glad that it's coming up. Because it's raising a key.
We're going to keep on organizing. We're going to keep on fighting. We need to look to the power that millions of people came out in 2020 in organized ways, demanding defund the police, demanding that resources be allocated in new ways, and that's what we're going to keep on fighting for. And we are really, really determined to not let Tyre Nichols' name go in vain and not any other black person's name.
Up against the system, and we fired up against police brutality and police.
I mean, it's horrible, but also more of the same, like surprising and not surprising in some ways. And I think it's particularly discouraging that, you know, since the largest protest movement in the United States in 2020, very little progress has been made in some ways, which I think is what this case made a lot of people think about.
We're talking about people who are tasing people to death. What kind of power? People power. Who got the power? We got the freedom. we don't get it, no peace, no peace, no peace.
Yeah, definitely stay safe. If you're going out in any of these major cities, be very careful.
And when do we want it? If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down.
Yeah, we lost the feed from Denver. I'm trying to find another feed. Yeah, crime rate's going up. Great distraction is happening. Shouldn't be a question for anybody. Everybody should understand what's happening right now. LA looks like they're getting ready to protest soon. They have not started yet, but there's a group gathering right now. We'll be watching that as well as we go forward. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. This is Times Square. This is the protest going on in New York right now in Times Square. So we've got LA getting ready to protest as well. I just said. Believe it or not, they're still protesting in Iran as we speak. Iran is protesting as well. Netherlands, they're not protesting right now. Watching what's happening around the world. Of course, keeping local news as well. Well, there was fireworks thrown at a police car earlier. We know that for sure. Here in New York City. That's, as far as we know, there hasn't been any true rioting besides that. There was some violence in Seattle that we didn't catch last night. Denver, all the feeds in Denver have been cut officially. There are no feeds coming in from Denver now. Oh, it's just sad. The world's falling apart. A day at a time. One day at a time, the world is falling apart. It's sad to see what's happening, though. It truly is. Sad. Well, it looks like we lost protest feeds for Denver, Colorado. We know there's protests going on in Memphis. There are no live feeds of that protest whatsoever on any of the platforms we look for. We watch out, of course. A lot going on around the world. A lot I was talking about. Things aren't looking better. They're looking worse at this point, and who knows when it's going to get better. Between national debt crisis, country, our government trying to get us into war. Let's be honest. It's just sad. You see what's happening here. Most of our weapons or supplies are down to a week. If we were to go to war with China right now, we have a week's worth of weapons that we could actually use to fight. Crazy that sounds that way, but now the U.S. is talking about sending more weapons, including long-range missiles and everything, to Ukraine. We already know we crossed the red line. We already know Russia is planning something. We don't know what. But of course, as we come forward with that, we'll learn more. It's not looking good out there for anybody at this point. It truly is sad. As talks are underway to fast track these long-range missiles and, of course, more military equipment and aircraft to Ukraine, it's really going to put us up against the wall. It's really going to put us up against the wall. As this is being fast-tracked, the conversation to send these. I mean, Russia and North Korea have accused the West of prolonging and taking a direct role by sending in the war by sending Kiev increasing sophisticated weapons. And this is a problem. We'll have to pay the price. Sorry to say, but every other country, the West is, including the U.S., but I mean, Germany and the U.S. agreeing to share advanced tanks with Ukraine and Bradley and Murata vehicles. I mean, this is all dangerous territory. Very dangerous territory. And now talking about long-range missiles where they could actually hit Russia, that's beyond dangerous. Russia, of course, before Putin would ever be held captive or be killed, he will launch missiles. It's not a question. I'd much rather destroy the world in the process. And we know this, as sad as it sounds. Of course, the U.S. just doesn't care anymore, obviously. Sad to say, watching what's happening. Drastic. A budget, a debt ceiling. I mean, literally, right now, the U.S. owes more than it's worth. Anybody taking us seriously knows that we can't even afford to make the interest payments on our debt. This is a serious, serious issue. Watching all that happen along with what's happening now, protests in the streets once again. I mean, predictions of war with China within 2 years, I believe it'll probably be this year. We don't have the weaponry. We don't have the capability of producing the weaponry right now. I mean, it's just a sad shape of events happening. Things, of course, aren't getting any better. Of course, things sometimes do look worse, and we know that. But what are we to do? What are we to do at this point? As we watch our government, of course, sell us out piecemeal at a time. If you don't believe that's true, look it up. It's happening right below your very feet. Government does no longer care about the citizens. It cares about what it looks like to the rest of the world. We can't even produce hypersonic weapons because we don't even know how to. Of course, watching this is crazy. Cut over to LA, of course, first responder media is out there in LA where the protest is gathering right now. Not many people out there yet, but this protest is just starting to gather. There was probably only 5 people here 10 minutes ago. So we watch, of course, more people gather. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Time we turn around, just more and more ridiculousness. AI taking over jobs. More people on aid than ever. America looking at putting itself in a war in order to stop itself from going to default. That's what I think our government's doing right now, is actually pushing itself for a war to stop a default. Nothing crazy yet, Michelle. Nothing crazy yet. What a surprise, Richard. What a surprise. We'll be covering Trump's speech, of course. He will be campaigning in New Hampshire and South Carolina coming up. We'll be covering those. We'll wait and see on when, of course, these are happening. We know the blanket report of South Carolina. And then recent weeks of drumming up endorsements and attendees. So we know.
Strictly Antifa and BLM, guys. This is not general public. This is strictly meet up with them.
So this is Antifa out here. This group put on. So we'll be following Trump in the next coming weeks as he starts to roll his speeches out across North Carolina, South Carolina as well. So we'll be following him. Lots of stuff to follow. Gary Lake is speaking tomorrow night. Well, tomorrow night I'm usually not on because I don't have a nurse on Sundays, but if I have a nurse, I will be back. I'll try to be on tomorrow night. I have a feeling I'm going to be on a lot more here in the next couple weeks. Out of necessity, of course, keeping you guys up to date. Without keeping you up to date, you guys, literally, the news doesn't want to tell you the truth. They don't want to tell you the facts. And that's what I'm about. Facts, not feelings. I could care less if it's good, bad, or ugly. If it's for or against Democrats or Republicans, the truth needs to be out there. I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in our country should be ran the way the forefathers designed it to be ran. And I believe we are far from it right now. Yes, this is Antifa out here. I do not like Newsmax. Newsmax took $1 million from George Soros last year, Phil. If you don't know that, look it up. I did like Newsmax prior to that. And then when I found out Soros was a direct investor of Newsmax, it had turned me away. Gotta be honest. Yeah, DirecTV just dropped Newsmax. If you have a Samsung TV, though, you can download the Samsung TV app on your TV and watch Newsmax for free. Doesn't cost a penny. You have internet and a Samsung TV or Samsung device. Samsung TV is available on all tablets and, of course, their phones as well. I am not sponsored by Samsung at all. I'm just letting you guys know that is an option. I watch a lot of news that's off the cusp through Samsung because they allow it. They allow the truth to go through them. I appreciate it.
Anderson was struggling with something that I feel like many of us may be struggling with here today. And I don't want to put anyone's business out there, but I'll put mine. I'm somebody who's been struggling with addiction for many a year. I'm somebody who has 4 years sober to my name.
Why are we talking about addiction? This has nothing to do with what's happening out there.
But what I will say is that it's a very hard and strugglesome experience. It is something that I struggle with on a daily basis. When I leave my house, I struggle not to pick up, not to use, and not to touch it.
Even though Trump has came forward and said that this should have never happened, what has happened in Memphis, and it's a true disgrace for the country. Yep, this is in Commie, California. Hey, but no, they're not all commies. We got Alex, and we got Sarah, and we got Corinne.
Not for you to joke about online. That is not for you to say whether, hey, we're doing the right things or not. No, doxing is a very real thing. Paranoia does not equate to gang stalking. Gang stalking is a very real thing. You see, when I was walking home with my clients and I was the house manager at the time, I would have to walk from 7-Eleven to my house and would have to have my African American client stand 10 steps away from me because my
Good night, Roberto. Please like and follow the stream if you haven't. If you're new here, we definitely appreciate it.
our passion, our life stream, what we do to take care of people, and a home
Yes, the vice president should have already been impeached for bailing out.
window, drawn his boat, and knew exactly what the fuck time it was. He knew what time it was. He sped up his car, he turned around, he made certain
Well, he just admitted to being a drug addict. He can't be showing his face. That wouldn't be appropriate.
his phone and took pictures of them. People who are in recovery, people who have HIPAA policy, people who have HIPAA protection around them.
This guy is an idiot. Okay, I'm going to say something really quick. He's talking about somebody coming out of a clinic and getting their picture taken. That is not against HIPAA violation. If you are in public, you are going to be subject to anybody that is taking pictures. It is 100% legal. That's how media operates. That's how we can operate. Or to cover footage and stuff that's happening around the world. We get somebody out there with a camera, we don't want them getting arrested or stopped because somebody claims that they don't want to be videotaped. That's their problem. I hate when people use laws that don't even apply to try to affect the narrative. Sad as it is, it's happening every day.
You have seen what I look like without my mask on. You know what doxing is. We talk about taking care of activists.
Deborah, I don't know what his point is either.
His nickname was Twit.
Turn it up a little bit. So he's talking with marbles in his mouth anyways.
Be outside of a property zone and stay there and occupy it. I want to give respect to Black unity, and I want to take a moment of silence for the people who were there, because I don't think we do that much anymore. No, and if you guys are real activists, you would understand. So take this silence. Thank you. For those of you guys who don't know, for those of you individuals, for those of you people who do not know, this space was autonomous, this space was held. This space was strong. This space was mine. I wasn't in it. But I fell apart. I felt so connected. I felt very real with it. The power that it takes for an activist.
This is definitely not Al Sharpton's son. Sounds about as smart, but definitely not.
Constant yelling, hate, disgust, terrible living.
Aaron, like I said, I believe war with China will happen this year. China knows we're down and out with weapons. If we send more to Ukraine, I think it's over. I think Russia will and China will end up going to war with us. They'll take Taiwan, which will force us into a war, which will end very badly. I mean, let's be honest. If we get forced into a war with China over Taiwan, we don't have the weaponry to defend ourselves or to even fight truly. Yeah, well, that's freedom of press. It's one of your First Amendment rights, is to take pictures and video in public. Well, it doesn't look like anything's going to happen out here tonight, so unfortunately, I think I might sign off. Bothers me hearing these people talk and argue. Media wants to try to hide everything right now. We will be live, of course, if anything happens. The next couple days, of course, we will be live Monday no matter what. But tomorrow night, we will be watching what's happening in Ukraine. We will be watching what's happening in Iran. We will be watching what's happening in China. So, protests kick off tomorrow night. We will be live if I'm able to be. God bless you all. And please, if you guys can afford to donate, every single dollar counts. It's very important. Every single dollar counts to a family in need. So please, if you can, click the Linktree link down there and pick one of the donational avenues and donate. But God bless you all. Make sure you hit the like and share button, or the like button and the follow button, so you can catch us live tomorrow night at Monday night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Stay safe and God bless.